What's up, my Central Unit Galaxy? It's the Central Man here. So this is my review of AEW's Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam. This show was broadcast last week on the 17th of March 2021 on St. Patrick's Day. The celebration of being Irish and get pissed. That is the whole purpose of that day. Anyway, so the show kicked off with the opening match. We got Cody Rhodes taking on Penta L0. But I'm going to call him Penta or Pentagon. That's just me. Anyway, the match between Cody and Penta was good. Back and forth. Cody hit like a Cody cutter. Penta kicked out. The suicide dive. The hurricanrana off the top rope. Penta did his typical arm snap back. You know, if you watch a lot of Penta's matches, he's always snapping that opponent's arm. I don't think he's not really a submission wrestler, Penta. Anyway, Cody rolled up Penta for the victory. Afterwards, Penta beat down Cody, hitting his injured arm because his arm was taped up after I think he got injured in the ladder match at Revolution. Then you got like the Gun Club and Dustin Rhodes came to the rescue. Penta left. Out goes QT Marshall. It was a bit of a confrontation between Dustin Rhodes and the Gun Club. You know, Billy Gunn and his sons. I don't know what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to a heel run with QT Marshall. Wait and find out. So, then we got this first segment of the show with Young Bucks and Don Callis. He's not really burying the Young Bucks. He's kind of like giving them motivation and sometimes putting him down. Said like, you're not elite. When I come here, you're not that elite. He said about, you're just another tag team with fancy tights living off your name. He's also putting over Kenny Omega, says he's up there, you're down there in the basement. Maybe you need to look yourself in the mirror. Where's the Nick or Matt in Japan? He said like used to kill it in Japan, so it's not the last time we see the Young Bucks and Don Callis on this show. Because this is a reef and this confrontation between, you know, with Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, Don Callis, and the Young Bucks, you know, the members of the Elite. I'm guessing the Elite is officially no more at this moment. Because, you know, basically Omega's teaming up with the Good Brothers, Diaz, Gallows, and Anderson. Anyway, it's not the last time we see them on the show. So, yeah, it's not really basically burying the Young Bucks. You know, it's basically, you know, when I came here, you're not that elite, and, you know, they're not really like the old Nickel Matt, the old Young Bucks from Japan. Anyway, so moving on to the next match. The next match, we got Jade Cargill taking on Danny Jordan. This is a squash match. I think this is her first one-on-one match, I think, since she debuted. Her debut match was in a mixed tag team match on the 3rd of March episode of Dynamite. It was her and Shaquille O'Neal taking on Cody and Red Velvet. Don't know about the match. Haven't really saw that match. I don't care about Shaquille O'Neal. I'm not a big fan of him. You know, I know he's a basketball player, but not really a big fan of him. So, anyway, yeah, it's a squash match between Cargill and Jordan. Cargill hit like a fisherman's face buster. It's basically the glam slam, you know, Beth Phoenix finisher to win this match. And then afterwards, she kind of confronts Red Velvet. She was at ringside. All members of AEW's locker room, they're wearing green shirts, understand St. Patrick's Day, celebrate if you're being Irish. So, yeah, this is still continuing this rivalry between Jade Cargill and Danny Jordan. She is fucking stunning hot, Cargill, you know, she's like full of muscle, she's beautiful. So, moving on to the next segment is NGS Faction. By the way, I watched the previous week's episode of Dynamite. The ending was good. You had NGF turning on the Inner Circle to form his faction. Yeah, Tully basically putting over the group, says about... And also he says, 34 years ago, I was part of the Horsemen. He did not mention the Horsemen's name. He said about 34 years ago, I was part of the greatest factions in pro wrestling history. Now I'm going to end my career with another good wrestling faction of pro wrestling history. It said you reached the pinnacle. Yeah, that's the name of the group, called Pinnacle. NGF said basically he was putting over the group very well, and also said to Jericho, I pretend to like you. He said about I pretend to like your comedy bullshit. Over the lead debonair segment a couple months ago on Dynamite. And also, my goal from the beginning is not joining the inner circle, is destroy the inner circle within to form a better faction. And he kind of put himself over because 1 year ago people are talking about me, and also, I got 25 more years left in the tank. He ended this segment with, "I'm better than you, and you know it." And then later on later on in the show, you had members of the Pinnacle stole the inner circle's locker room, removing the inner circle sign, and put their logo onto the dressing room. So there's a new faction, I like this faction. You got like a MGF, Tully Blanchard, FTR, Wardlow. So that could set up basically a good faction, a match, probably at AEW's Double or Nothing this year, between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. So moving on to the next match. The next match was an 8-man tag team match. We got Matt Hardy, the Private Party, and the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny in their corner, taking on the Jungle Express and Bear Country. Jungle Express, that is 3 members of Jungle Express, that is Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt. And we got Bear Country, the same tag team from Revolution. Match was meh. Just meh. Before that, Matt Hardy did like a promo, said about like, I'm just building an empire. Yeah, he says he's not building a brand, I'm building an empire. So yeah, I like Big Money Matt. So the match was meh to me. In the end, Matt Hardy, Private Party hit the gin and juice. I think that's their finisher. Onto Marco Stunt. Matt Hardy hit the twist of hate. They always change up the finisher. When they're baby faces, it's called Matt or Jeff. They call it Twist of Fate. When like Matt or Jeff is a heel, they kind of change it to Twist of Hate. So I call it Twist of Hate. So Matt hit the Twist of Hate onto Marco Stunt to win this match. So yeah, there's more factions so far. You got like Team Taz, you got the Inner Circle, you got the Dark Order, the Gun Club. Matt Hardy's group with Butcher, Blade, the Private Party, the Pinnacle. Yeah, really a faction warfare. It's been around since the start of the formation of AEW. So yeah, I like Big Money Matt. It's been ages since we saw that character. He's been like normal Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy. So moving on to the next segment. We got this segment between Marks and Eddie Kingston, preparing for that match against Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers. Moxley said about hate the Good Brothers. Said about like he wastes money on some website called I can't remember what is it called? Shirtamania. I can't remember. Sorry. He said he basically making fun of Luke Gallows' face or Doc Gallows. I don't know what he's called at this moment. I say Dark Gallows because he was Luke Gallows in WWE. He was Dark in TNA. Right now it's Impact Wrestling. And also you got Eddie Kingston did some quote by 50 Cent and Tupac. Said about they shop nothing. They can't shop enough. They shop nothing. They can't part nothing. They stop front or nothing. I can't remember what he said. I'm not really a big fan of hip hop. And he also quote of Tupac says about like cowards dies 1,000, we're soldiers, we die only once, and also this is not Tokyo, this is not the Impact Zone, this is our home. Yeah, it's preparing for that match later on tonight. Anyway, so and then you got this segment with Dasha Gonzalez interviewing Christian Cage. And Christian, why he's there to establish his legacy. He's kind of putting himself over like I am the workhorse. I make his opponents level up. and he kind of challenging Kenny Omega or confronting Kenny Omega. He said understand like he needs to win matches. So yeah, it's good to see Christian. So I'm guessing could lead up to probably Kenny Omega versus Christian down the middle. So moving on to the next match. The next match we got Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley taking on the Good Brothers, Diaz, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows or Luke Gallows. They'll probably call him Doc Gallows because WWE got the rights. You cannot call him Luke because you gotta be careful. They end up getting sued by the company. So I'll call him Gallows and Anderson for the time being. So anyway, it started with a brawl between both tag teams. Kingston, Mox, and the Good Brothers. Gallows and Anderson hit the Magic Killer onto Mox outside the ring earlier. Yeah, it was a good physical match. It was a decent, fun match. In the end, Mox was taped up. Yeah, during that promo segment, he said about being handcuffed, being beaten to a pulp. Yeah, talking about that match at, the barbed wire match at Revolution. Yeah, his arm was bandaged up after he got, exploded, and not really exploded, but taped up and beaten to the pulp. He rolled up Carl Anderson for the victory, and afterwards they beat down Jon Moxley, and then out calls Don Callis and Kenny Omega. And then Kingston came to the rescue, but he got beaten down. They hit the Magic Killer onto Kingston. They I think Omega placed placed the chair onto Kingston's leg and broke Eddie Kingston's leg in the process. He's about to do the same thing to Jon Moxley, trying to break his neck. Out goes the Young Bucks. And then they're trying to do the too sweet thing, but basically the Young Bucks don't want to do nothing to do that. Omega kind of got really pissed off. He removed his t-shirt, and then Moxley recovered, chased the baddies out of the ring with the chair. And also Omega was holding a shoe, says is the shoe fit. So I kind of like this situation between former members of the Bullet Club. This is leading up to, basically, Gallows, Anderson, Omega turning on the Young Bucks. And, yeah, at this moment of the time, the Elite is officially gone. They're gone. So, it's very weird that a couple months ago, they kind of teased another heel turn for the Young Bucks. Having them super kick everybody in interview segments and, after matches. And also then, months later, Omega turned heel, and also then, and the Young Bucks are babyfaces. I simply don't get it at this moment of point. Sorry, I'm kind of stumbling. Then we got this segment between Tony Schiavone interviewing Sting and Darby Allin. Sting, they had no lines in this segment. So Darby said about, paying tribute to Cody. He didn't mention Cody's name. He said greatest TNT champion of all time. He said he's done with the feud with Team Taz, and he's about to call out the Dark Order, but all of a sudden you got Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts. Archer said to Schiavone, "Why you interview Sting every time, Schiavone?" Kind of shoot down Schiavone more, and he called Darby a indie-rific freak, and he's going to put Darby through a coffin. And then you got Jake Roberts said about there's the changing of the winds. He put over Archer, and also said about he's going to take it up. He's going to shove it up your rear ends, and they leave. Then you got Team Taz. That is Hook, Taz, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage. So Hobbs, Cage, Hook, Sparks, Taz. And this time you had Brian Cage grab the mic from Taz. He kind of putting over Sting. Said about he brought up their match, the tag team street fight at Revolution. He said I respect you without the baseball bat. You always the icon. That really pissed off members of Team Taz, and then basically Cage kind of brushed them aside. So I don't think it's going to lead up to a face turn of Brian Cage. We never got a heel Brian Cage in Impact Wrestling when he was the X Division champion, or even the world champion, feuding guys like, Johnny Impact or Sammy Callahan, maybe Tessa Blanchard. but yeah, I think he needs to stay as a heel because if they turn him babyface right now, he'll be lost in the shuffle. So I don't know. It's gonna lead to this fraction split between Team Taz. Cage get away from Team Taz. He's wearing a T-shirt that says Swolverine. Yeah, because he looks like Wolverine. Swolverine, it's called. Putting the S, onto the Swole and Wolf. Wolverine, because Cage looks like Wolverine. You with that Wolverine sideburns. Maybe he looks a little bit like Hugh Jackman. So moving on to we got this segment with Scorpio Sky. He said about I'm tired of being someone else's nice guy. Nice guy ends last. See some video package of him winning the ladder match at Revolution and the match between him and Darby for the TNT title from the previous week. He said, I'm tired of being someone else's stepping stone. If I hurt someone, so beat it. So I don't know why he was there because this is very confusing because at this moment of the time with Darby still the TNT champion, I don't know. Are they still in this rivalry between him versus Team Taz or him versus Scorpio Sky? And also he's calling out members of the Dark Order, so this is very confusing. So yeah, as for Scorpio Sky, I think he needs to turn heel. I don't know if he's part of SCU, with Daniels and Kazarian. I think they need to turn heel because they're floundering as babyfaces. SCU since the formation of AEW. They're better off as heels. Going back to 2012 when Daniels and Kazarian doing their run as Bad Influence. Those 2012s. They dress up like fancy costumes in their feud with AJ Styles. Go in those 2012 TNAs. They're kind of floundering as babyface since they got there in AEW, SCU, Daniels, Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. So I like this heel turn of Scorpion Sky. So I can see him, because he said in that promo, said no one wants him being the poster boy. They wants the Darbys, the Stings, the Codys, And then we got the next match. The next match we got Rey Fenix versus Angelico, one half of Hybrid 2. Fun match, a lot of Lucha Libre style, arm grappling. In the end, Rey Fenix hit like a spike pile driver onto Angelico to win this match. And then we got this segment between Miro and Kip. This is over a couple weeks ago at Revolution. Said about, Alex Maveris asked Miro about, because best friends challenged them to a rematch. Miro kind of declined. Kips wants to say, I won the rematch over the the tag team match between the best friends, Kip and Miro, over it was Chuck Taylor, made Miro knocking Penelope Ford out of the ring apron. This was their match at Revolution. And Miro kind of shooting down Kip, said about you care much about your wife than winning. When the bell rings, I don't care about you, your wife, or anybody else. All I care is about destiny. It brings about being world champion. And he said, in the end of the day, we'll still be buddies, and left. So, and then also, Mavericks asks Kip, do you accept the challenge? And Kip says, of course we accept the challenge. So, this is going to lead up to a breakup. I said in my review of Revolution, I think the ship is sailed between Miro, Kip, and Penelope. I think that it's done. I think Kip is going to turn babyface and Miro as a heel. I don't want to see Miro as a babyface. Come on. Miro, Rusev as a babyface. Give me a fucking break. So, yeah, this is sort of a rematch from because next week, this week is this week's episode of Dynamite, the 24th of March episode of the show. It's set up next week's episode of Dynamite, a tag team match between the rematch from Revolution, the best friends versus Miro and Kip. Kip Saban, I'm trying to say. Anyway, so moving on to we got the Dark Order segment. All members of the Dark Order, because one is who's stepping up to face Darby Allin for the TNT Championship at next week. You got Brody's Lee's son, I think he's called -1. let's say I do it, and then you got Evil Uno says, maybe you have to wait a decade later. You're still 9 years old, and then John Silver answered the challenge. So yeah, next week or this week, by time this was last week's. This week's Dynamite is going to be Darby Allin versus John Silver for the TNT title. Wait and find out. You have to wait next week when I review this episode of Dynamite. Because this week I'm reviewing last week's Dynamite, and then you have to wait next week for this week's episode when I review that episode of Dynamite. So it's getting a little confusing, I'm trying to say. So anyway, moving on to the main event. The main event, we got a lights out match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and the Rosa. This was match of the night. They beat the living piss out of each other between Britt and Thunder. Reba Rebel, whatever her name is. I'm not a big fan of Reba Rebel. The reason why I don't like her, she just came off annoying. She's annoying, awkward. This is one segment, it was still awkward, but she kind of missed her cue. She had that awkward look in her face. Yeah, she's kind of like Britt's bumbling lackey. I don't like her. Yeah, she was there for when Britt got injured, and that was in like last year in 2020. She hit Thunder with the crotch. She did interfere a bit. She didn't really hurt this match in my opinion. She tried to help Britt get the victory. Britt and Thunder beat the living piss out of each other, and they bleed buckets. So basically, Thunder bled after Britt kind of stumped her face into some steel steps, and then minutes later, Thunder kind of placed a ladder near the low turnbuckle in the corner of the ring onto Britt, and hit I think it was a drop kick onto the ladder onto Britt's face, and Britt also bled. She bled like a stuffed pig. A lot of crazy moments and spots. Like there was one spot when I think one of them hit. I think Thunder hit Britt with the Death Valley Driver onto the ladder, kick out. You had Thunder hit like a thunderbolt. He kind of powerbombed Britt through some thumbtacks. Thunder kind of put Rebel through a table. Britt locking the lockjaws onto Thunder. Thunder managed to roll up, trying to pin Britt onto the pile of thumbtacks. In the end, she hit like her finisher. I think it's called the Fire Thunder Power Driver. I think it's called. He kind of put her through a table outside the ring. This was kind of like a spike power driver. It kind of landed on Britt's neck. I said to myself, how the fuck is Britt never got an injured neck? She might be okay. She might have stunned her neck, but not broken neck. So Thunder Rosa won this match. And also during the match, you had the cutscenes of Hikaru Shida watching this match. I'm guessing the winner of this match will probably face Shida for the title. Like I said in my review of TakeOver Vengeance Day, Shida's title reign needs to end at Double or Nothing. I didn't say her title reign needs to end at Double or Nothing, but I said her title reign is nearly at an end. So anyway, so I think this match kind of set Britt Baker for life, because since she came to AEW, she was kind of terrible, not good in the ring. Her character was terrible, but 1 year ago, I kind of like her character as the role model. She went through hell, when she got injured her knee, broke her nose, but the stuff with Shivani and Rebel, I kind of like. I'm not a big fan of Rebel, but Britt, I kind of like. Good in the ring, good on the mic. This is a star-making performance, so I think she needs to face Hikaru Shida for the women's title. She's got to be next in line, I don't mind seeing a rematch between Shida versus Thunder Rosa, Shida versus Thunder Rosa 2. That they tore the house down at All Out, but I want to see Britt versus Shida down the middle, because they never fought one-on-one before. So yeah, they ended the rivalry between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. They've been feuding for months. I think this is the blow-off. I think basically Thunder won the war. So yeah, I'm going to end this review of St. Patrick's Day Slam. So my final rating for AEW St. Patrick's Day Slam, I'm going to give this an 8. Overall, this is a actually, fuck it, I'll give it a 9. 9 out of 10. Solid show from top to bottom. The promo segment with the Pinnacle, the matches on the card, the opener, the tag team match between Kingston, Moxley, and the Good Brothers. Yeah, there were a lot of good matches. The only nothing in the bad. The only thing, the two matches were okay. Was Jade Cargill versus Danny Jordan. That was basically just a squash match, and the multi-man tag team match between Matt Hardy, Private Party, Butch and Blade versus Jungle Express and Bear Country. It was meh. It was just kind of there. So, hope you enjoy my review of AEW's Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash the like button, and subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. This is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.